This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Yeah, son? Okay. Good afternoon, Rabbi Sai. We're going to be learning the Haftorah of Parshas Shemini. Vayosef oy David es kol bachor Yisrael shloshim alaf. David once again gathered every chosen one in Klal Yisrael. Now, very interestingly, what's the connection to the Parsha? So, of course, the Parsha talks about the 8th day of the Miluim and the erection of the Mishkan, the establishment of the Mishkan. Likewise, the Haftarah tells us how David HaMelech brought the Aron to Shalayim. It had been 20 years in the house of Avinadav, and not in a temporary home. And now David HaMelech is preparing a place for a new Shalayim. However, the Aron was being transported on a wagon, and the weight of the Aron shifted, and it looked like it was about to fall. And a man by the name of Uzzah came, and really not knowing that the Aron can't fall because the Aron carries those who bear it, he made a dash to make sure the Aron didn't fall, and that was wrong, and God punished him, and he died on the spot. This was actually, in a way, a punishment to David HaMelech, who said about the Torah, Zmirois hayu li chukecha. Actually, Uzzah, the Chidah says as Rashi Tevois, Zmirois hayu li. Uzzah is also gematria af, anger, and Uzzah was killed because of this incident, similar to the death of Nadav Avihu. So we have over here, number 1, the Haftorah tells us how Uzzah died because he approached the Aron without rishus, similar to the Misa of Nadav Avihu when they brought the foreign fire in this week's Parsha. The thing was, when David HaMelech saw that the Aron caused death to Uzzah, he was hesitant to bring it to Yerushalayim, and therefore he temporarily brought it to the house of somebody by the name of Oved Edom. So the pasuk says, "Vayavoyu ad Goren Nachain." He came to Goren Nachain. Vayishlach Uzzah el Aron Olikim. Uzzah sent forth his hand to the ark of God. Vayoichaz boi ki shamtu habakar. So the Rabbi Yonasan Eibeshitz on the spot points out, it's a very interesting name, Goren Nachain. We would just think it's the name of it, the silo of Nachain. But Nachain means correct. So Rabbi Yonasan Eibeshitz explains that the Goren, the silo, was Mesukan, meaning they had taken Trumas and Masros, and that's why the cattle bent down to eat from it. Because if it was not Mesukan with Trumas and Masros, these cows would not have eaten it. Why? Because why would a cow eat? No, because if the cow of Pinchas ben Yair was careful not to eat food that was not mesukan, these cows also of David HaMelech would also be careful. But since it was Goren Nachain, it was the correct Goren, so the cows bound down, and that's why things started to move. Now, I just want to point out, this is not the Haftarah of this week's Parsha, because we have Parshas Parah. But it's typically the Haftarah of Shemini. And what's interesting is, either way, it talks about the cow. So either way, you get the cow in. Okay. Regardless, the pasuk continues, Shmuel Beis Parak Vav Pasuk Yud, V'lo ava David lahasir elav esarein Hashem al ir David. David did not want to divert the Aron to the city of David, because he saw what happened to Uzzah. Uzzah died. So what did David do? Vayateo David turned it Beis Oved Edom Agiti, to the house of Oved Edom of Gas. So Rabbi Yonasan Eibeshitz says, why did David bring it to this gentleman's house? Well, all we know about him is somehow it came from Edom. Why would David bring him to this house? So Rabbi Yonasan Eibeshitz says he was a Giti, he was from Gas, and he was a Ger. And God loves the Ger. It's a pasuk in the Chumash. God loves Gerim. We would think, no, God loves people who are Jewish from birth. No, He does, but not as much as He loves Gerim. And because God loves Gerim, David HaMelech brought the Aron to the house of this Ger.
36 times in the Torah.
48, but that's a different story. Yeah, okay, look at number 6. Look at number 6. Ulamicha ba'shol lo haya lo yaled ad yoy moisa. Michal Bashol did not have a child until the day of her death. Why not? Michal did not have children until she died. So why was this the punishment? So it's interesting that the reward for those who housed the Arain, the reward of the Beis Oived Hagiti was they gave birth Shisha B'Kar Secha. They gave birth to 6 children in one womb, similar to Mitzrayim. Now Michal mocked David HaMelech's Kavod HaTorah. Michal said, you're acting disgraceful, you're dancing and your shirt is untucked. So it's basically midah keneged midah. If the reward for being mechabed, the Torah, is children and fertility, so the punishment for lack of Kibud HaTorah is infertility. But from here we learn an important lesson. For those who are struggling with fertility, we learn from the Divrei HaNavi that the zuchus of Kavod HaTorah is a zuchus that is mezakeh somebody with banim, and vice versa. Lack of Kavod HaTorah could chas v'shalom be punished with infertility. So that's what he says. The attribute of the Arain is that those who honored it gave birth b'shisha b'karas echad. So by her it was the opposite, that she didn't have a child ad yoim moisa. Okay, Rabbi Sai. So even though we're not going to learn this Haftorah this week, we're going to learn about the Haftorah of Parshas Para. Nevertheless, these are a few insights of Rabbi Yonasan Eibeshitz on the regular Haftorah of Parshas Shemini.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.